There is a place on Earth you are not allowed to go, a landmass so vast it covers more than 14 million square kilometers, larger than the United States and Mexico combined. Antarctica, the coldest, driest, and most remote continent, has remained one of the least accessible regions in human history. The first impression is deceptive. From afar, it seems nothing more than a frozen wasteland, a place of penguins, glaciers, and howling winds. But the reality is that access here is not just difficult, it is systematically restricted. Unlike any other continent, every journey, every landing, and every human step is bound by a framework of rules unlike anything else on Earth. Why would the nations of the world lock down a place that appears empty? Why guard a landscape of ice with the force of treaties, laws, and global agreements? If it were truly worthless, there would be no need. The answer lies in a single document, the Antarctic Treaty, signed in 1959. It remains the most restrictive international agreement ever enforced on an entire continent. 58 nations, representing the majority of the world's power, agreed that Antarctica would be preserved exclusively for scientific research. Military operations, territorial claims, resource extraction, and private settlement were strictly prohibited. On the surface, the explanation sounds reasonable. Antarctica is inhospitable. Temperatures can plunge to 128 degrees Fahrenheit, storms can trap expeditions for weeks, and its vast ice sheets hold 70% of the world's freshwater. A fragile ecosystem, they argued, required protection. Yet the scope of the treaty raises questions. No other region on Earth is controlled in this way. Disputes over land are common across history, yet here, overlapping claims by 7 nations were frozen indefinitely. No one can own Antarctica. No one can exploit it. And ordinary citizens, regardless of wealth or ambition, cannot freely set foot on it without clearance from their government. The result is a continent locked away, not by natural barriers alone, but by law, a fortress of bureaucracy and international cooperation that has lasted more than 6 decades. Even tourism, heavily marketed today, is tightly choreographed. Cruise ships are permitted only at pre-approved landing sites. No more than 100 people are allowed ashore at once. Every visitor is monitored, every step regulated. Independent exploration is effectively impossible. This extraordinary level of control has led many to wonder what lies beneath the ice. Was such a sweeping agreement driven purely by environmental concern, or was it also about limiting access to resources and knowledge? Beneath Antarctica's ice sheet are estimated reserves of oil, coal, and rare minerals. Some surveys suggest over 200 billion barrels of oil could be hidden below the surface, more than the reserves of Saudi Arabia. But under the Madrid Protocol of 1991, mining was banned until at least 2048, locking away potential wealth for generations. Treasure, technology, or truths not meant to be known. Whatever the motivation, Antarctica stands as the only place on Earth where the average human being is forbidden to venture freely. A continent larger than Europe, yet one most of the world will never see. The ice hides its secrets well. The treaty ensures those secrets remain buried, and for now the world's most remote frontier is not just a desert of snow and silence. It is a forbidden continent. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis drew a map that should not exist. Preserved in fragments and rediscovered in the Topkapi Palace of Istanbul, the chart depicts the coastlines of South America, Africa, and most controversially, Antarctica. 3 centuries before the official discovery of the southern continent, this map recorded its outline with remarkable precision. Even more troubling is what it shows beneath the ice. The contours of the Antarctic coast, which has been buried for millions of years, appear visible, accurate within miles. Reis himself admitted that his work was a compilation, stitched together from sources dating back to antiquity. He cited maps as old as the 4th century BC, long before Western exploration of the southern hemisphere. For centuries, the document was dismissed as curiosity. Then, in 1960, the United States Air Force conducted a seismic survey of Antarctica's subglacial terrain. The results confirmed that the Piri Reis map matched the hidden rock formations beneath the ice sheet, an impossible correlation. The question was unavoidable. How could anyone in the 16th century have knowledge that modern instruments only rediscovered in the 20th? The anomaly does not stand alone. In 1531, another cartographer, Orontius Phineas, published a map of the world in which Antarctica is shown in striking detail. Rivers, mountain ranges, and coastlines appear not as the uniform sheet of white we imagine today, but as a habitable land with features visible through the ice. Many of these markers, once thought to be errors or inventions, were later found to correspond to real formations buried deep under the Antarctic glacier. Features like the Transantarctic Mountains and several subglacial rivers are depicted with accuracy far beyond the knowledge of the time. To some historians, these maps are coincidence. To others, they are evidence of knowledge carried forward. From lost civilizations, science continued to reveal more mysteries hidden beneath the ice. 2.5 miles below Antarctica's frozen crust lies Lake Vostok, a body of water sealed off for more than 15 million years. In 2012, after decades of drilling, Russian scientists pierced the ice and recovered samples of its water. Inside, they found life, microbial species that had evolved in complete isolation. These organisms had survived without sunlight, oxygen, or any contact with the surface world. Instead of photosynthesis, they consumed minerals and metals locked within the water, thriving in conditions lethal to most known life. 17 species were cataloged, some representing entirely new branches of the evolutionary tree. The discovery forced scientists to reconsider what environments life could endure, and by extension, where it might exist beyond Earth. Antarctica revealed another unsettling spectacle in 1911, when explorers in the McMurdo Dry Valleys discovered a crimson flow spilling from the tongue of the Taylor Glacier. The phenomenon became known as blood falls. For decades, its source defied explanation. The red liquid seeped from deep within the glacier, staining the surrounding ice with the color of blood. Early theories suggested iron contamination or the presence of algae, but later research confirmed that it was something stranger. The water originated from a pocket of ancient seawater trapped beneath the ice for nearly 5 million years. Within that isolated reservoir, iron-rich brine had nurtured a microbial ecosystem unlike any other on the planet. The bacteria consumed sulfur and iron compounds, producing the blood-red stream. Taken together, these findings form a picture of Antarctica not as a lifeless wasteland, but as a continent holding secrets far beyond expectation. Maps created centuries before discovery align with hidden coastlines. Lakes buried under miles of ice conceal organisms that should not exist. Glaciers bleed with colors from ecosystems sealed away for millions of years. Each fact, when viewed in isolation, can be explained by coincidence, by geological processes, or by microbial adaptation. But when combined, the weight of these anomalies challenges the accepted narrative. The truth is simple. Antarctica is stranger than science has been willing to admit. Beneath Antarctica's thick ice sheets, instruments have detected heat that should not be there. In 2017, research published in a Geophysical Research Letters revealed geothermal flux near the South Pole, measuring almost twice the expected values. These hotspots generate millions of watts of energy, far greater than current geological models can explain. Scientists concluded that volcanic activity and radioactive decay alone cannot account for such concentrated sources of heat. The discovery implied a system of underground thermal vents releasing energy into the base of the ice, accelerating melting from below. The mystery deepened when ground-penetrating radar surveys revealed vast cavities beneath the glaciers. In 2018, NASA reported the presence of a void nearly 1,000 feet tall and covering an area roughly the size of Manhattan beneath the Thwaites Glacier. This was not an isolated find. Other surveys have uncovered multiple voids large enough to hold entire cities, formed not by random collapse, but by sustained exposure to heat. These cavernous spaces are reshaping the ice from within, destabilizing one of the largest glacier systems on Earth. Even more perplexing are geometric formations visible in satellite imagery. Several structures resembling pyramids with sharply defined edges and symmetrical sides have been identified by independent researchers using Google Earth coordinates. The largest rises nearly 1,200 meters above sea level. While mainstream geologists classify these as nunataks, rocky peaks protruding through the ice, their uniform triangular profiles invite speculation. The question lingers, are they simply products of erosion or remnants of something constructed long before Antarctica froze? Signals from beneath the ice have added to the puzzle. Since 2006, the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, or ANITA experiment, has monitored high-energy particles striking Earth from space. Yet the detectors began to record something unexpected. Radio bursts emerging from beneath the continent's ice, traveling upward instead of downward. These events did not match the behavior of cosmic rays or neutrinos, which normally lose energy passing through the planet. To physicists, the anomaly suggested either unknown particles or interactions that challenge the standard model of particle physics itself. The findings remain unresolved, and every attempt to replicate them has produced more questions than answers. Taken together, these discoveries paint a portrait of a continent hiding forces beyond ordinary explanation. Heat where none should exist. Cavities carved in ice by processes we do not fully understand. Geometric peaks that resemble human design. Signals that appear to defy established science. Skeptics point to natural causes. Volcanic activity beneath the ice, erosion shaping rock. Into sharp profiles and unexplained data errors in radio detection. Each possibility is plausible on its own, but when assembled side by side, the anomalies strain the limits of coincidence. The broader question is unavoidable. Are these signs of an ancient civilization erased by time and buried under ice? Or evidence of phenomena that science has yet to comprehend? Theories linking Antarctica to lost knowledge, advanced technology, or even extraterrestrial contact grow louder with every unanswered discovery. The continent remains locked away, inaccessible, to ordinary investigation, with its most unusual features hidden beneath miles of ice. Until further exploration is allowed, the evidence sits unresolved. Heat, voids, pyramids, and signals, leaving one undeniable conclusion. Antarctica is not the barren wilderness it appears to be. In December 1938, Nazi Germany launched an expedition to Antarctica. Led by Captain Alfred Richer aboard the vessel Schwabenland, the mission surveyed more than 350,000 square kilometers of territory. Aircraft conducted extensive reconnaissance flights, dropping thousands of aluminum darts, each marked with swastikas, to stake symbolic claims on the land. The region was named Neuschwabenland, New Schwabenland, after the German province. Officially, the expedition's purpose was whaling and exploration. Unofficially, its scale suggested more. From this mission, conspiracy theories were born. Writers and researchers later claimed that the Nazis had discovered geothermal pockets beneath the ice, areas warm enough to support construction. They argued that a secret installation, often referred to as Base 211, was established as a refuge for the Third Reich. In these narratives, New Schwabenland became more than a symbolic claim. It became a hidden fortress where technology was advanced in secrecy and where remnants of the regime could escape the collapse of 1945. No verifiable evidence of such a base has ever been found. But the documented expedition remains, and it provided the foundation for speculation that still circulates today. The connection between Nazis and Antarctica resurfaced in 1946 with Operation High Jump. This was the largest Antarctic expedition in history at the time, commanded by Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd of the United States Navy. The mission deployed over 4,700 personnel, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft. Officially described as a training and research operation, it was planned to last 8 months, yet it was abruptly terminated after just 8 weeks. Reports cited extreme weather and mechanical difficulties. The sudden withdrawal, combined with the immense resources committed, fueled theories that the mission encountered something unexpected. Speculation grew when later accounts attributed controversial statements to Admiral Byrd. A Chilean newspaper, in 1947, quoted him as warning that the United States must prepare to defend against hostile aircraft capable of flying from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Years later, an alleged secret diary began circulating, claiming Byrd had described encounters with advanced craft and beings in Antarctica. No authenticated copy of such a diary has ever surfaced, but its legend added a new layer of mystery. Not all of the discoveries from Operation High Jump were speculative. On January 30th, 1947, a flight led by Lieutenant Commander David Bunger identified a striking anomaly. In the middle of the frozen expanse lay a series of ice-free lakes surrounded by rocky terrain. The water was measured at 38 degrees Fahrenheit, all warm compared to the surrounding environment. Byrd described it as the most important discovery of the expedition. The region became known as the Bunger Hills, or Bunger Oasis. The sight of unfrozen water and algae-filled lakes in the heart of Antarctica was real, photographed, and confirmed. This mixture of documented fact and unexplained interruption left fertile ground for conspiracy. Some claimed that Bunger Oasis was connected to underground geothermal networks capable of sustaining life, perhaps even human settlement. Others tied it back to the idea of Base 211, linking warm areas beneath the ice to Nazi hideouts. In the absence of complete transparency, fact and speculation blurred together. By the 1950s, stories of hidden bases merged with broader myths of unidentified flying objects. Reports of strange aerial phenomena began appearing in polar regions. In the years following Operation High Jump, accounts of disc-shaped craft in Antarctica circulated alongside the claims of Admiral Byrd's secret encounters. The narrative escalated. Antarctica became not only a site of Nazi refuge, but a meeting ground for advanced technology, whether human or otherwise. Documented history provides the expedition of 1938-39, the massive scale of Operation High Jump, and the discovery of ice-free lakes in the Bunker Hills. The rest, Base 211, secret diaries, and alien alliances, is speculation layered upon fact. The line between recorded history and unverified claim remains thin, and it is in that space where the darker myths of Antarctica continue to grow. The hollow Earth theory has circulated for centuries. At its core is a simple but radical idea. The Earth is not solid, but contains vast interior spaces, even an entire habitable world within. Entry points, believers claim, lie at the poles. For Antarctica, this has become one of the most enduring myths attached to the continent. The theory gained traction in the 17th and 18th centuries. In 1692, British astronomer Edmund Halley, known for Halley's Comet, suggested that the planet might consist of concentric spheres separated by luminous atmospheres. Later, in 1818, American Army officer John Cleves Sims Jr. argued that massive openings existed at both the North and South Poles, and that explorers should seek passage inside. His proposals were widely mocked, but they left a cultural imprint that persisted long after his death. Antarctica became entangled with the idea in the 20th century, largely because of Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the American naval officer who led multiple expeditions to the continent. Byrd's official records describe scientific and military missions, but later accounts attributed to him claimed something extraordinary, that he had flown into an opening at the pole and encountered an inner world. These reports were never verified and were tied to documents published decades later without authentication. Still, they reinforced the association between Antarctica and hollow Earth belief. Modern technology has only deepened the suspicion for some. Satellite imagery of the poles often shows blurred sections or missing data. Agencies explain this as a consequence of orbital limitations, where satellites cannot capture complete images of the poles from their trajectories. To skeptics, however, the gaps look deliberate, as if entrances to another world were being concealed. The notion of subterranean realms is not confined to modern conspiracy. Ancient cultures describe similar concepts. In Greek mythology, Hades represented an underworld beneath the earth. In Buddhist and Hindu traditions, legends spoke of Agartha, a hidden land within. To believers, Antarctica's unexplored depths seem like the natural continuation of these myths, a frozen gateway to something hidden below. Mainstream science rejects the hollow Earth theory outright. Seismic studies confirm that the Earth has a solid inner core, a liquid outer core, and a mantle of rock above. No physical evidence has ever suggested the existence of vast internal spaces. Yet the idea endures, not because of scientific proof, but because Antarctica provides the perfect stage. Inaccessible, tightly controlled, and filled with anomalies still being studied. For those who believe, the continent's secrets remain sealed by ice. For skeptics, it is an example of how myths adapt to new frontiers. Either way, Antarctica's link to the hollow Earth reflects a long human tradition, imagining hidden worlds beneath our feet. Antarctica is the only continent on Earth governed not by a single nation, but by treaty. In 1959, 12 countries signed the Antarctic Treaty in Washington, D.C. Today, 58 nations recognize it, making it one of the most far-reaching international agreements ever enforced. Its terms are strict: no military activity, no nuclear testing, no territorial expansion, and no resource exploitation. In practice, this transformed Antarctica into the most tightly controlled landmass on the planet. The rules became even more restrictive in 1991 with the Madrid Protocol, which banned all mining and commercial resource extraction for at least 50 years. That moratorium will expire in 2048, after which signatory nations may vote to reconsider. Until then, Antarctica's estimated billions of barrels of oil, coal reserves, and rare minerals remain officially untouchable. Access for ordinary people is equally limited. Even tourism, which has grown since the 1990s, is strictly choreographed. The International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators sets the rules. Only 100 visitors may land at a site at any given time, and all expeditions must follow pre-approved routes. Independent exploration is virtually impossible. Every visitor requires government permits, environmental impact assessments, and insurance policies most companies refuse to issue. The system ensures that no individual can simply arrive and wander freely. Control extends beyond tourists. 7 nations, Argentina, Australia, Chile, France, New Zealand, Norway, and the United Kingdom, have issued territorial claims, many of them overlapping. Yet, under Article 4 of the treaty, all claims are frozen indefinitely. Nations enforce access in their sectors, but those claims hold no recognized sovereignty. The result is a bureaucratic deadlock, overlapping authority, no official ownership, and no legal path for outsiders. The framework is presented as environmental protection, preserving the fragile ecosystem and shielding it from exploitation. But to critics, the structure looks less like protection and more like exclusion. Antarctica is sealed by law in a way no other continent is, its resources locked away behind layers of international bureaucracy. As some observers note, it's not about protecting penguins, it's about keeping you out. Beneath Antarctica's ice lies some of the most valuable reserves on Earth. Geological surveys suggest the continent could hold up to 200 billion barrels of oil, vast coal deposits, and untapped veins of rare earth elements critical for modern technology. Most striking of all, it contains nearly 70% of the planet's fresh water, locked in its ice sheets. In a world where energy, minerals, and water define power, the continent is less a wasteland and more a vault of global resources. Officially, the Antarctic Treaty and Madrid Protocol prevent any form of mining or commercial exploitation until at least 2048. Yet nations are not ignoring the continent. The United States, Russia, and China all maintain permanent stations, expanding their presence under the banner of scientific research. McMurdo Station, operated by the US, is the largest installation on the continent, and it is managed not by a university but by Raytheon, a defense contractor. China has rapidly increased its footprint, building multiple bases within the last few decades. Russia, too, continues to invest heavily in Antarctic operations. Each station is presented as research, but the infrastructure resembles long-term strategic positioning. The dangers of exploitation are undeniable. Antarctica is one of the most extreme environments on the planet. Temperatures can drop below 120 degrees. Storms rage for weeks, and its ecosystems are fragile. A single footprint can remain visible for decades, and introducing even microscopics. Foreign species could devastate life that has evolved in isolation for millions of years. Any attempt at large-scale resource extraction would not only risk human lives, but could permanently alter the continent's delicate balance. Still, the question remains, if Antarctica is truly off-limits until 2048, why do powerful nations continue? To expand their operations there? Why commit immense resources to a frozen frontier officially closed to exploitation? Is it preparation for the day the treaty expires? Is it the pursuit of resources too valuable to ignore? Or is there something else beneath the ice? Something we are not allowed to know?